We can now bring in Angelo Di Mambro, Agrifood editor at Euractiv. Thank you very much for joining us here on the program today. There you heard there from our correspondent who was interviewing a protesting farmer on his list of grievances. The Mercosur trade deal was one of them, as well as imports from Ukraine. I want to talk about those two in just a second, but EU leaders are meeting tonight for dinner ahead of a summit tomorrow to discuss the growing farmer discontent. How important is it, given that we have European elections in just a couple of months' time?
Thanks for the invitation. It should be said that the farmers' protests will not be in the official agenda of the leaders' summit, but for sure there were bilateral meetings. The French President Emmanuel Macron already announced that there will be bilateral meetings, but the Commission has already today proposed two measures to meet some of the demands of the protesters all across Europe. The first one is a derogation on some requirements on keeping the land fallow, some common agricultural policy requirements to give flexibility, say the farmers to choose to grow more products or just cultivate more land. And the second one is connected to Ukraine. The Commission proposed to renew the trade benefits for Ukraine, allowing a lot of commodities, also food commodities, critical food commodities coming into Europe, but with some stronger, with some safeguard mechanism stronger than in the past. In this way, let's say the European Commission tries to meet the demands of the farmers and of member states, because if we look more carefully at one of those measures, the derogation on the fallow land, it recalls a proposal that France tabled in November 2023 already. The Commission is feeling the pressure from member states and from the protesters in the street. Tomorrow it will be the day of the demonstrations in Brussels. The demonstration is organized by the Wallon Farmers Association, but there are other associations like the Italian Coldiretti, the Spanish Asaja, and the Portuguese CAP that will participate in this demonstration in Place Luxembourg, not so far from the meeting of the ministers of the EU leaders. Yeah. And then disruption are expected in all the area, all the European quarter, let's say.
Yes, the protests are not officially on the agenda, but they will no doubt be creeping into conversations over in Brussels as EU leaders meet tomorrow. Now, one of the things that the EU Commission says it envisages is an emergency break for poultry, eggs, and sugar from Ukraine. But another thing that protesting French farmers have been saying is that cereal imports from Ukraine too have been a problem. So where are we on this, and where will the EU Commission fall in line with what European farmers want?
The assessment of the Commission so far is that there is a need of imports of cereals, especially to Southern European countries, Spain, Italy, where we are talking about wheat and corn. And so, and that the impact of those imports is not impacting nowadays. It impacted last year, but not nowadays. It's not impacted so much the internal market. While for the three other sectors you have mentioned, there is a critical situation according to the Commission. So that's why.
But that's what I just want to jump in there, because that's what the Commission is saying. But we months ago we had farmers in places like Poland taking to the streets and protesting grain imports from Ukraine.
Yes, that's one of the news in the new measures. it's that the fact that member states have a greater role than in the past. So one member state can ask the European Commission to intervene for market disturbance in one member state, and not only in the whole internal market. So this is something that has been in a sense received by the Commission. This was the position of Poland, for instance, also besides of France. There is this position now. The member states have a greater role in these safeguard mechanisms.
And what about the Mercosur trade deal with South America? Because that seems to be on farmers' minds as well. Even though this deal is far from done, now we seem to have a shift in tone from the French President Emmanuel Macron.
Yes, Macron reiterated the opposition of France that has been always clear, and has made clear that this opposition is not negotiable. On the other hand, the Commission. On the other hand, the Commission, on the one hand, they say, the situation has not changed, so we are still negotiating for that additional chapter that the EU requested to commit for the Mercosur countries on the Paris Agreement on climate. But it is undeniable that the EU-Mercosur deal has a certain geopolitical importance nowadays for Europe. How
so?
Sorry?
How so? The geopolitical importance. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. Of course. In a period in which let's say the multilateralism of trade, as we have known it for decades, is in crisis. You tend to have bilateral trade agreements with the so-called, we can say, the friendly partners. And the Latin America is a growing continent. And there are, for instance, the consideration that Spain and Portugal have of this agreement is very high because of cultural ties, and also because it's a huge market. Of course, it's a market sensitive for European agricultural products. That's undeniable. But there is a kind of tension between this general and geopolitical interest and the farmers. And the farmers' stances. Sorry.
Angelo Di Mambro, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
Now you can find all our coverage of the ongoing farmer protests here in France and throughout Europe on our website. The address is france24.com.